We are experiencing a pretty bad heat wave at the moment. Oh, it's so hot. Good morning, everyone. It is currently Monday morning. I'm starting off another weekly vlog for you all, where I'm just going to share a little bit of what I get up to this week. I've got some work this week with Whitbird Environmental, including like some garden work and bush regeneration. I've also got lots to do in the garden here and the flower farm. But this morning I started the day, you would have seen a few clips from my morning walk. I'm starting to get back into walking a few times a week just to start doing a little bit more exercise and just feel overall a little bit more healthy. And then I grabbed a coffee at one of my favorite local cafes. But we're starting this week on an interesting note in that we are experiencing a pretty bad heat wave at the moment. Now it's only the start of spring, and for context, we are on the south coast of New South Wales, which is kind of like a little bit more of a warm temperate environment, I would say. And on average, we've been getting like 23 degrees as a maximum, maybe getting up to 24, but it's kind of around the low 20s. Today we're having 35 degrees Celsius. So I'm kind of a little bit nervous about that. Today's supposed to be 35, we're having 34 tomorrow, which I'm working tomorrow, so that's going to be very interesting. And then it's going to be, I think, 32 the next day, and then I think after that it drops back down to the low 20s. I think we're on like a total fire ban, and I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen in terms of fires in the area, just because it's quite dry at the moment. We're pretty much okay here, but what I do need to do is just put the sprinkler on for the flower farm for now. I did it last night just to get a little bit of moisture in the ground, but I'm going to put it on now just to moisten the soil a little bit more, mainly for a lot of like the ranunculus. So we've got the tap here. I'll turn it on and I'll go show you what it actually looks like. So it has a pretty wide range, you can see there. Obviously irrigation that is at like the base of the plants is best. This was a short-term solution for now, and it's been working pretty well. I just got it from Bunnings. It was about $20. I've obviously put it on now, so I'm not going to go in there and get wet, but I'll put an overlay of what it actually looks like closer up. But yeah, I really need to just keep the ground a little bit moist here. Ideally, I would have put this on a little bit earlier in the day. It's about like 8:30 now, but I was on a morning walk, so I didn't. But I think this will be okay just to keep the soil cool. We do have a lot of trees up there, so it gets afternoon shade, which is nice, but I'm really worried mainly about my ranunculus crop here, which you can see is over there, and you can see there's a lot of color over there. I could net it, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it today just because I wasn't that prepared, to be honest. Yeah, ranunculus really struggles when it gets really into like the high 20s and definitely in the 30s Celsius. So we'll see. Sometimes a heat wave like this can actually put the ranunculus plants into dormancy. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I think if I can keep the soil temperature lower with the sprinkler, hopefully it'll be okay. I do have another ranunculus crop over there. And you would have seen in previous videos, it's covered in powdery mildew, so I'm actually just going to rip that out probably this afternoon or another day this week and start probably prepping that for some dahlias in there. So I'm going to put a timer on for the sprinkler, and I'm just going to go water the other seedlings that I have, try and keep things in the shade, I think. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be getting up to too much gardening today just because it's way too hot to be outside. And fingers crossed all the plants survive. Another thing I'm kind of concerned about today and the next few days is my worm farms. Worms really cannot tolerate heat like this unless you kind of help them out, or if you have a really established worm farm and they have a really cool place to go. There's a few things that I'm going to be doing today to help them out a little bit. The first thing that I'm doing is I'm wetting some cardboard just in a bucket. I'm going to let this soak for like 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to place that on the top of the worm farms. So I'm just going to let this soak for a little bit. You can also use things like towels or rags, whatever you really have around that can retain moisture, just to keep a little bit more in the worm farm. Another thing you can do is freeze food scraps and pop those in. I used to do this all the time when I lived in Brisbane, where I would just grab like an ice cream container or some kind of container, put all my food scraps in there, a little bit of water to kind of like combine it all, and then lay that on the top of the worm farm, add a sheet over the top. I'm also going to be adding some ice cubes to the worm farm and a frozen water bottle as well. Something else I like to do is put a white sheet over the top of them. They are in a position, and it's kind of hard with the house that we have at the moment. They do get morning sun, so they're in full sun right now. So this is why I'm going to be working on them this morning. In the afternoon, they get complete shade, which is perfectly fine. Right now, they'll just be retreating down to the lower layers. But to just keep on adding moisture and to keep them cool, I'm going to add some ice and then add the cardboard, and I'll probably freeze some food scraps today so that I can put them in the worm farms tomorrow. Adding a white old rag or towel over the top is just going to keep the worm farm cool. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come through with the hose and spray all these so that just keeps a little bit more moisture in. Because these are black, they're just going to heat up a lot more than if you have something over them. Good morning, it is now Tuesday and I'm about to head off to work. It is about 6:30 and today we are working, pretty much doing like a reset of some veggie gardens. I'm probably just going to be weeding a lot of them and planting some new spring vegetables in there. I probably won't film too much just because it's on like a private property, but I might do like a before and after to show you just kind of what we did for the day. Like yesterday, it's going to be incredibly hot today. I think it's going to be about 34 degrees. So I have lots of water packed. I'm going to probably, as soon as I get home, have some hydrolyte just to stay hydrated and have regular breaks throughout the day. So I'll take you along with me, share what I can, but if not, I will check in with you this afternoon. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so hot. But a very productive few hours. I need to go home and have a shower because I'm covered in dirt and mulch and it's not good. Alright, so this is kind of the little patch where I'm working today, and I'm just going to go around and any native plants that I see, I'm going to just put a little stick near, and then, so a sandpaper fig here, and the rest of all the weeds, not like the grasses and things like that, but I'm going to pull out and just really take it easy today. It's very hot today again. We're still in like the low 30s, but the wind today is a northwesterly wind and it is so hot and not great for bushfires. So we're just going to keep an eye out for any smoke and activity like that, but just take it really easy, working next to the creek, which is nice. And yeah, I'm just going to tidy up this little area because I need to get on top of it, and usually when it's a really hot day like this, we'll prioritize these kinds of jobs. Not a pretty background. I realize it's probably going to look a bit grainy, the footage, because it's 6 o'clock and I've had a very busy afternoon. I honestly didn't realize how many flowers have opened over the last few days. Like I was down here the other day, but today I came down here and pretty much all of the ranunculus were blooming. So this afternoon I have been harvesting as many flowers as I can. And it is now getting dark. I had to do all of that pretty quickly, so I just really didn't have time to film. I don't know how some of these flower farmers do it where they film like everything they do. So I've harvested 2 buckets of ranunculus and some stock as well. I'm also just in like the worst mood because dogs in the neighborhood have just been barking all afternoon. You can probably hear that one right now. And I'm also still really hot. It's the cool change still hasn't come through yet. So I am not in the best mood, to say the least. But I'm glad I got all of those flowers picked. I will check back in with you when I am a little bit more rested and am feeling a little bit better about myself. And I'll debrief about all of this hot weather that we've had and what I'm going to do to prepare for it next time. What a feast. We got one more. What even is this vlog? It's quite early and I haven't really been filming that much, and I really need to just sit down and like catch you up on a few things that have happened. But basically, from all of that heat wave, flowers have gone crazy and I have heaps of stems and I had to find a place to sell them. So I rang up where I've usually sold flowers before at one of the local garden centres, and they were more than happy to sell some of my flowers. So I had somewhere for the stems to go, picked a lot last night. I'll chat more about this soon, but I'm out here. I just didn't get enough time to harvest greens. It was way too dark and I couldn't really see what I was doing. So that's what I'm doing this morning in my pajamas and a really nice warm hoodie, because it's really cold this morning. After all of that really hot weather, now it's cold again. I do not understand this crazy weather. But anyway, I'm going to be picking from that bottle brush bush over there just to get some greenery. I've already made a few bouquets that are just like straight ranunculus that I'm going to sell. That rooster, the audacity. But I want to make a few like rainbow mixed bunches as well. So I'm going to do some harvesting, arrange the rest of those bouquets, take some photos of them, run them down to the garden centre, and then I'll probably check back in and just give you a little bit more of an update on what is going on in this crazy week of weather and flowers everywhere. Right, I thought I would sit down and have a little bit of a check-in, a little bit of a chat, because I've been editing this vlog and it's a little bit all over the place. That's kind of how this week has felt. I'm honestly pretty exhausted. It's been a very busy week in terms of work, just like the physical nature of gardening for a job and then bush regeneration. It does take a toll on your body. And so I've just spent this morning, it's Saturday now, and I've just spent the morning relaxing and taking it easy. Been having some cups of tea, almost finished this one, and yeah, just taking it slow, which is usually what I tend to do at least a few mornings a week. I do enjoy just a slow morning. It's like one of my favorite things to do is get up slow, do a bit of reading, have some coffee, watch some YouTube videos. So that's what I've been doing this morning. But the last clip that you would have seen was me just making all of those bouquets. So I didn't really explain, but basically this week we didn't really have a market or anywhere that I would usually sell flowers. And I had planned the flower farm and all of my plantings to kind of have a little bit of a gap in between when the flowers were supposed to bloom, which is called succession sowing, when you purposefully sow seeds at different intervals that are kind of regularly spaced apart, so that technically the flowers then bloom at different times. But because of this heat wave, all of the ranunculus opened and grew really quickly. I was so surprised at how fast the flowers were growing and opening. So I really had to find an outlet to move the stems and to sell them. So I rang up my local garden centre where I have sold flowers before. They were more than happy for me to sell flowers there. And we have a really great arrangement there where I sell the bunches for $20 each, but for every 6 bunches that are sold, I invoice for 5. So technically they make $20 from the 6 bunches. So then they make the $20 and I invoice for 5. So every $120 that they make, I take 100, they take 20, which is pretty good in my opinion, considering that it's really a win-win situation. They also have flowers which draw people in, and customers come from both my Instagram and their Instagram to buy flowers, then also buy like a coffee and plants from the nursery as well. It also really brightens up their store and they also get a bit of money from that. And I really feel comfortable with that arrangement, considering I'm not the one there standing and spending my time to sell the bunches there. Now, how you're going to be pricing your bouquets and flowers is really up to you and your experience, what you have available. There's so many different factors that go into pricing a bouquet. I have set mine at $20, which has been a really great number. It's a number that a lot of people around here I know can afford. And I also don't have experience in arranging flowers. I'm not a trained florist, so therefore I'm not charging that premium like you would pay for if you were buying flowers from a florist, where they have a lot more experience. They know how to work with flowers. I am just putting a bunch together using what I think looks good. That being said, I am thinking about upping my price to $25 for the bunches, but this week, and this is where you've kind of got to use your intuition and the urgency that you need to sell your flowers, and also how well they're going to sell in public. I think $20 was a pretty good price because I just had so many stems that I really needed to move and I needed to sell quickly. But I am thinking about upping my price a little bit just because I do think they're definitely worth a little bit more than $20. But for a first-time flower farmer, it's all trial and error really. It's something that I really would like to make a video on about pricing flowers and how to price the stems. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know and I can do more of a sit down chatty video. But yeah, for this week, I went for $20 and they are selling really well. I did get a text yesterday saying that they'd already sold 3 bunches and that was in like the first hour and a half. So I'm hoping that the rest go okay, and I'll probably update you in the next vlog about how they went because I'm going to wrap this video up kind of soon and I need to get it edited and up for tomorrow. For the rest of the day, I am just going to chill in the garden and do a little bit of planting. I did pick up some seedlings from the nursery after I dropped the flowers off, so I'm going to plant some more shallots and some basil in my container garden upstairs on the balcony. I had some shallots that I sowed from seed and they were coming up, and then a lot of them were starting to germinate. Then we had that really hot weather and a lot of them did die, so I'm just going to replace them with some seedlings. The spinach is also a little sad up there, so I need to give that a water, maybe a fertilize as well. And then I've just got a few little other odd jobs to do around the garden, like some weeding. My status bed definitely needs a weed. It's got all buckwheat coming up from when I had my cover crop in there that I didn't harvest in time, so I need to get onto that. And I thought I would just leave you with a few clips from the garden of some things that I get up to this afternoon, some just nice relaxing shots for you all. I'm sorry that this weekly vlog was just like, I don't know, a jumble of everything really, but I hope you enjoyed seeing just what I got up to, some of the sites where I do bush regeneration and gardening. Yeah, balancing that kind of physical work and then flower farming is becoming pretty difficult just for me to keep on top of it all physically, so I am trying just to up my exercise, and I've changed up my diet a little bit to just get a lot more protein in. So yeah, I think it's been an interesting week. Next week is going to be hopefully a little bit more quiet, where I can get some more jobs done in the garden now that we're past this heat wave. But I hope you're all enjoying your spring gardens or autumn gardens if you're in the northern hemisphere. I'd love to know what you're getting up to. What are you planting? What are you sowing? Or what are you harvesting? I would love to know, so let me know in the comments down below. I will leave you here with a few last clips from the garden. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe for lots more garden and flower farming content. Thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.